You can adjust.
The schmuck.
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 Schmuck. Yes. Okay. Okay, so.
The schmuck of beauty. It's bright pink.
It's a smock.
Schmuck. Isn't it schmuck? Smock?
Yeah, it's a smock.
No, you're pulling my leg.
I'm not pulling your leg on that. It's called a
it's
it's called a smock.
I thought it was schmuck my whole life.
So I'm still baffled my wife agreed to this. I am not a hair specialist, nor someone who's proven to be a connoisseur of high fashion, and nor even someone who's good at coloring things on purpose. But here I am, given free rein to dye her hair with vegetables. My wife crochets, and she's recently been getting into dyeing her own yarn, so she and I figured that whole process out together. She dyed her yarn with various food products and made a blanket. So that's some experience, but hair dye? That is a whole nother ball of cake. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing, so this is an experiment, not an instructional. It's tricky because there isn't a lot of information out there about doing this. Yarns and fabrics, yes, but human hair, not so much, and not all of the same principles and techniques apply. For instance, we will not be simmering her hair in boiling dye water for several hours. So these are some of our dyes. Some of these my wife tried on her cotton, others she has not. I think this will be our main color today, black turtle beans. At least with her blanket, these provided a nice strong blue color. All you really need to do to make it into a dye is just soak them as you would if you were going to cook them, just maybe for a bit longer. So we left these soaking about 36 hours or so. And of course you can still cook and eat them afterwards. Apparently you can even change the hue a little bit. We got blue, but you can go more towards purple, or I think green as well if you shift the pH, add vinegar or base. I was looking for something in the ballpark of pink, purple, or red. For her yarn she used beets. That didn't turn out to be quite ideal. It worked, but it took a lot to get the dye to stick, and we're still not confident that it'll stay stuck. So we're going to try a couple of different options here. Henna and alkanet would be possibilities, but I'm trying to stick with edible food products here. I would have a couple ideas for wild plants as well if this were a greener time of the year, but such is not the case. I would have tried black carrots, but I left those at my parents' house in their fridge, and my mum threw them out because she didn't like how many roots they had. So first we're going to try some beets in a different format. These beet and turnip pickles I made for shawarma. Gonna use the pickle juice. What could go wrong there? I mean, to be fair, vinegar can sometimes help dyes stick better, so... I can't see them very well. You look like you can't see very well.
I can't see at all.
You look like a Wookiee right now. Next, we're going to try using some adzuki beans. Now, these are the beans, if you've ever had some of those East Asian desserts where they use red bean paste. This is the same beans here. It is sometimes done as a dye, apparently, but it was hard to find information on that, other than, like, one poorly translated patent I could find. It seems they just cook the skins of this when they do it for dye, but not having a bean skinner on hand, we tried cooking the whole beans. The result is kind of brown. Sometimes the color you see isn't the color that comes out in the end, so... Also trying some red onion skin boiling water. If it doesn't color the hair, at least it'll leave her hair smelling nice and fresh. But we boiled boiled the tar out of those skins, and here's the liquid from that. And this is mainly about using vegetables, but why not try using some grape juice? I got some of my parents' homemade stuff here. Slightly fermented, but otherwise still intact. Where you might want to start leaning back.
I just can't breathe. I can't breathe.
But the sooner you lean back, the sooner you'll be able to breathe.
I can't breathe. Okay.
So that's those colors anyway. May as well throw in some green though. That's a thing people do, I guess. There's a couple of green options in the yarn dyeing sphere. Maybe spinach, stinging nettle, a few other greens, but stinging nettle, I don't have much left in my freezer and I want to eat it. And cheaper spinach seems to be out of season. All I can find is this expensive bourgeoisie organic packaged stuff. And those leaves can sometimes end up more yellowy brown anyway, so that might not get what we're going for. So on a different tack, we'll do similar to what we did with her yarn. Do some of the black bean juice with yellow turmeric mixed in. Now, is turmeric a vegetable or a spice? Why not both? I would say yes to both, so I'm counting that for this. And speaking of yellow, why not just add some straight turmeric? This one should stick pretty well. It, at least, well, actually I don't know that for sure. It's used as a dye traditionally in some places, but as to hair, again, I'm not sure. So anyway, the first step in dyeing yarn is usually to scour it, which is basically an intensive cleaning, and in doing so, you get out especially oils and other substances that would get in the way of dyes penetrating into the fibers. If you don't do that, a lot of colors won't stay in as well. Now, how best to do that with hair? Probably not by adding soda ash like she did with her yarn. At least as far as she's told me, she doesn't have wax in her hair like a sheep would. So I think this time we'll just shampoo her hair and hope for the best. No conditioner, because that might work against the dyes. It's a little unclear on that, but I think so. I don't know what I'm doing here. I mean, fortunately, she's just wanting the tips dyed, and probably going to chop them off soon afterwards. So, I mean, if the hair texture gets messed up a little bit... Now, using a mordant, that's where I'm especially lost. Do we use one or not for hair? Now, mordants, a lot of natural dyes don't actually bind that well to fibers, so mordants are added as sort of a go-between. They'll bind to the dye and then bind to the fiber, holding the two together. Quite handy. A lot of modern synthetic dyes don't need those, as they can just kind of bind straight to the fibers. More likely to need them here, but I'm really not sure. There's a lot of different options for mordants, but unfortunately a lot of them are toxic, or at least of questionable safety to use around facial orifices. For my wife's yarn dyeing, she used a couple different ones, mainly tannins from black tea and alum. Also vinegar and salt, though those aren't technically mordants. They do help some of the dyes stick in some cases though. Alum, I've found a few websites mentioning using it for hair coloring, mainly Indian websites, but about half of them are also talking about using it for hair removal. So, will it be okay if we're just using it for the tips, not getting near the roots? Your guess is as good as... Your guess might be better, actually. Yeah, neither she nor I has any experience dyeing wool, which would be much closer to dyeing human hair than cotton would be, so... yeah, I'll just put on the screen what we decided. It's not often I get to put beans in your hair. So we had thought of trying a mordant here, but forgot in the end, so we won't know if that would have helped. Some dyes work best if you let them dry in the fibers, and then sometimes even heat them as well. So, so we're just gonna blow dry this hair before we try washing it out. I mean, yeah, if
you can use this method.
If you like subtlety, the utmost of subtlety.
With a ton of work.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be nearly as much work if we hadn't done 7 different dyes.
That is very true.
The turmeric, we will see. I have higher hopes for that one than for most of these.
Yeah, that's too bad. The color I liked the least.
Yes, well, it'll definitely add some pop. I think.
Okay, should we wash it out of my hair?
Sure, yes.
Okay, let's go do that.
Okay.
Okay.
And the moment of truth. Well, it looks not much different than it did before.
It's a little stickier than it was before.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess there are some spots you can see a bit more color. You can turn this way if you want.
Okay.
If you look underneath, that's where you see the turmeric. That is more visible. It's kind of more the color of straw. That part there. But yeah, I do wonder if we had added a mordant, if it would have stuck more.
And maybe a mordant, but then maybe also more time.
Yeah, maybe
Like
also.
my neck and back couldn't handle more than 30 minutes.
Yeah, if you do this, try a comfortable position.
Yes.
That's a tip.
Don't do how I did it.
Maybe if we had tried boiling some of the hair.
It just sounds wrong, but
If you're going to
hair.
chop it off anyway.
Yeah.
There was some flecks of pink in there too, right? At the end?
Yeah, I don't know where it went, but there was little. Oh, like here you can see it's pinkish. Kind of, you probably can't
You
see
probably
that
can't
in the
see that on
camera.
So, I guess I don't think I've earned any credentials here in the hairstyling world. But
It did like, okay, the blue when we put it on my more blonde pieces did turn them a more white tint, which would make sense because when you use like purple shampoo on your bleached hair, it makes it more of a white shimmery color rather than a yellow or orangish color. So there was a bit of that, but it didn't do anything more than just like using purple shampoo.
didn't turn it blue.
No.
So yeah, the verdict is turmeric kind of works.
If you want yellow hair, use turmeric.
If you want the other things to work, maybe do it differently.
Go to a hair salon.
Well, yeah, there's that, I guess. But or you know,
buy box dye.
it's a question for further science experiments. So anyway, that went as well as it did. If you have any suggestions, thoughts for how it could be done better, or other vegetables that might work better for it, let me know in the comments. Liking and subscribing always really helps. So anyway, join me next time on Ambling with Sam.